Hello there. Welcome to another exciting game from the Opera Euro-Rapid, part of the Meltwater Champions Chess Tour. It's the final day of preliminaries, and we now know which 8 players will play in the quarterfinals. And, well, we all want Dubov to make it there. It seems like he can't help himself when it comes to exciting openings, opening ideas, novelties, exciting games. And yeah, before I tell you what happened, let's have a look at what happened in this game. Jan-krzysztof Duda with white and Daniil Dubov with the black pieces. So d4 by Jan-krzysztof, and we have a queen's gambit decline here. But at the c6, we have a semi-slav. So far so good. Reasonably quiet, but how will Dubov spice this up? He takes on c4. Notice he doesn't do that until white moves the bishop. That's kind of standard in these lines. Make white spend 2 moves to take. Then we play b5, hit the bishop. Bishop comes back, bishop e7. Castles, a6. Black usually needs to defend this pawn before moving on with c5. White plays e4. Gets the strong center. And after c5, quite often he would like to be able to play d5 here, but maybe we can do it as a sacrifice. But white plays e5 here. d5 is actually the most common move, in fact, but in this particular game, Jan-krzysztof played e5. After knight d5, he played knight g5, a very aggressive move. And now interesting things happen. Dubov takes on c3 and plays bishop e7. Now, was this provocation? Did he want this? Or was Duda actually the one doing the surprising here? Because Duda now takes on e6. Well, when you play bishop e7, you have to account for knight takes e6. So I guess Dubov just wanted to play this position and see what happens. Knight takes e6. Now this you have to take because you move the queen. I take another pawn. Your king is on the run. No good. So takes. Queen h5 check. King f8 comes into consideration, but do you want to defend this position with f4 and f5 incoming? I don't think so, Tim. Things will open up quite fast, so Dubov goes with g6 and Duda takes. Takes the pawn on g6. Note that if he takes the rook immediately here, there's knight f8, and now we're bringing pieces to the defense, and having these 2 pawns actually makes a whole lot of difference. We can play queen d5, actually castle queenside, and black is probably for choice. So he takes the pawn, king f8, and now we're down 2 pieces. So Duda decides to get something back, plays bishop h6, but now it's rook and 3 pawns for 3 pieces. I had to think a little bit there because it's not a common material imbalance, actually a crazy material imbalance. But Duda, he can win the pawn on e6. First he gives a couple of checks, we come back to the same position, and he takes the pawn. So now it's a rook and 4 pawns against 3 pieces. And that, by the material count we're taught, is equal material, but it's so crazy. What's going to win? The activity of the light pieces. At the moment they're not very active. Or is it going to be the rooks? Well, it looks scary. If we can get a rook in here somehow, it looks very scary. Also white has all these pawns. And if they start marching, it's going to be trouble. So let's see. King g7. And naturally, Duda tries to bring a rook into the game. Knight f8. Dubov has to bring something to defend the king, so at least we have a knight here in the vicinity of the king. King h8. He prefers to have it on h7 here to shatter the king. d5. Ooh, these pawns are coming. Now we probably cannot take this pawn. I suspect we can just play, let's say we take it, I suspect we can play a check here, and whichever move we play, probably e6, and this is gonna drop because of the pin. So the pawns look very dangerous here indeed. Knight h7 and pushes now. Pawn to d6 by Duda. Bishop h4. He wants to help, keep the bishop on this diagonal to help and stop the pawns. But the bishop looks vulnerable there. It's only protected by the queen. e6 now. Ooh, the pawns are coming. Queen f6. You don't want to get hit with e7. Well, maybe you do, but you lose a piece for 2 pawns. Maybe you want to do that, but queen f6 by Dubov. e7 now. Starting to look scary. But for the moment, bishop c6, and we are defending everything. If d7, we take on e7. So g3 first here by Duda. Also, rook g8 was coming, so we had to get g2. The weakness on g2 taken care of. Queen h5. Of course, we cannot take because of the pin on the pawn. Queen takes c3. And now we can't take because queen f3 and the battery of the bishop and the queen here would simply deliver a mate on either of these 2 squares. So Duda decides to give up an exchange here, queen, rook d5, bishop takes, and queen d5. Getting ahead of myself there. And here, probably bishop takes e7 is a good move. Just trying to contain the pawns, wrap a piece, well, against a lot of pawns, but currently the material is in black's favor. But probably with the weak king, it should be around equal. Well, in computer chess, but this is human chess. It looks like black should be over the worst, so hard to say. I think it should be around equal. But Dubov plays knight f6. Looks like a natural move. You're hitting the queen. But here a very nice move by Duda. What did he play? It's actually kind of stunning. He played queen takes g8. Now Dubov took with the knight, takes with the king. Everything's blocked. You can't queen. You can't play d7. Wait a minute. I can play d7. And that's what he would have played, because if you take it, now a queen with check. And probably a follow-up by just taking your bishop next. So white's going to get a new queen. Very nice stuff. But okay. Dubov plays on. Takes the queen. New queen for white. And bishop f6. So now we have to worry about this pawn. Queen h5, the king comes out, rook d1, he wants to queen the pawn. Tries to improve the knight. Okay, now we have 2 pieces protecting the square. So white isn't promoting yet. Jack, king there. And now black starts pushing his pawns, rook d5, rook f5 and king g7. And here white should be able to win the c4 pawn. He could play rook f4 or rook c5. In both cases, the pawn on c5 should be lost. But a quiet move, king g2 by Duda, trying to, well, get the king off the back rank. But this gives Dubov a chance to push his pawns. AB. And here, probably Duda misses a win. He could have played rook f4, which is completely winning according to the computer. For instance, b2, now rook g4. Sorry, first we make a queen. We have to take with a knight, and now rook g4. And this is completely winning according to the computer. No defending. We can't go here because of the check. If king h6, queen f5, it's a mating net. White would have to, black would have to give up massive material. So this would have been a win. But instead, queen takes a6. And now, Dubov is also threatening the queen. Queen b6, bishop d8. And here, Duda decides to liquidate. He takes on f7 and on d8. So here we have the potential of 4 queens on the board. Queen c6 check, f3, and Dubov makes a new queen. He should, however, have given a check on c2. And this would end in a draw. White will play king h3, we give a check on f5 or h7. And the king should go back, and we repeat. If you go to the first rank, we just repeat. And whenever you go to h3, we give a check on f5 or h7. If the king tries to run, let's say it goes here and tries to run, now it's actually black who will realign his queen and then make a new queen. And now it's winning because we're covering the e8 square. There's no check. So let's go back and see what Dubov did. Certainly he was aware that he could play these checks and it's a draw. And it seems like he was going for more with queening here. Because now he's running to come in with some checks. But what did he overlook? Because now Duda, he gives a check, queen e8. Okay, if he makes a queen now, we can start checking and maybe the white king has to run. But the white can keep checking, and that's what Duda did. Queen h5, queen g4, queen f4. The king came up, and now we can play g4. The king goes back. But now we just make a new queen. That's what Duda did. And after queen c to c2, white simply played queen d to d2. And he's up 3 pawns. And that's going to decide the game. If you don't trade queens, I'm coming in with some checks. And it's going to be game over. So Dubov had to resign. Trying very hard not to confuse because they're Dubov, Duda. But I think I didn't confuse, but I came very close. But this, yeah, threw a spanner in the works for our good friend Daniil Dubov. And he needed some favorable results in the last round, which he got, fortunately. So we're going to see Dubov in the quarterfinals. Unfortunately, Dubov going there came at the expense of Hikaru Nakamura, who, well, he has only himself to blame. He had a very fine position against Shankland, but completely messed it up, botched it up, and Shankland ended up winning. And that cost Nakamura a place in the quarterfinals. So, we'll see some usual faces. Carlsen and Giri seem to be in top form, so doing well. And Radjabov, Wesley and Radjabov, the 2 previous winners of the first 2 tournaments in the Meltwater Champions Chess Tour. Radjabov, the only player going undefeated in all of the 15 games. So he will be tough to beat in a match, as he has shown. And well, the matches will be interesting, we'll be there. And I hope to see you there as well. So, probably that's it for me tonight. There were a lot of interesting games. And I might throw a few more in, but we'll have to see. At least we'll see each other tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.